pretty sure that the person we think is Zuckerberg is a sim. Well, the real one lives on a yacht staffed by 100 beautiful women where he plays Pokemon Go all day. This is the worst kind of person to make the overlord of a new universe. Even before the pandemic, nearly 3 in 10 American males between 18 and 30 weren't having almost triple what that number was 10 years earlier. The closest they come to talking to a girl is Alexa. But that's Mark's vision, that two friends can attend a concert together when in reality, I mean the old reality, both are really sitting at home. What great fun, especially for the band playing to an empty stadium. That's right, a concert where no one has to actually be at the concert. Or as Travis Scott said, now you tell me.
The conclusion of Bill Maher's latest rant about Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is both unexpected and entertaining. Maher contends that social media is distorting reality for young men, fueling misinformation rather than truth. His critique is sharp, intense, and uncompromising. Hit subscribe, buckle up, and let's dive in.
Want us to tell me why we keep allowing social media and our very lives as social creatures to be dictated by the most socially awkward person in history. It better to reflect Mark Zuckerberg's new master plan for what he has called an embodied internet, where instead of viewing content, you are in it. Because why spend hours typing on Facebook to argue with your brother-in-law about ivermectin when your avatar can yell at his avatar in person?
Maher opens by asking how Mark Zuckerberg, a figure often portrayed as socially awkward and emotionally distant, ended up shaping social norms for billions of people around the world. It a fair question. How did someone seemingly so detached come to design the platforms that now define modern social interaction? But Maher doesn't stop there. What truly concerns him is Facebook's aggressive push into virtual reality, a move he believes could further blur the line between what real and what fabricated. He argues that social media has already warped how people perceive the world, relationships, success, and even their own identities. Now, with Meta pushing users toward full immersion through headsets and avatars, Zuckerberg appears more interested in escaping reality than in addressing the damage social media has already caused, especially to young men struggling with identity and purpose. Maher calls it a dangerous social experiment with serious consequences, run by people who seem to misunderstand genuine human connection yet feel entitled to redefine it for everyone else.
As anything you do in real life can be done in this new metaverse. Playing cards, sitting in a park, getting a bad haircut. It's easy. You just put on goggles, gloves, and, suction cups on your balls, and now you're in the magical land of the metaverse because everyone looks cool with shit strapped to their head. In the metaverse, you can tour the pyramids or have a sword fight with a duck. All without having to leave the comfort of your parents' basement.
Maher goes on to argue that the metaverse creates powerful illusions, immersive, potentially addictive digital fantasies that pull people away from real human connection without offering any of the growth that comes from genuine interaction. In the past, men learned social skills the hard way, meeting women face to face, taking risks, and dealing with rejection. Today, many young men struggle even to start a conversation, let alone build meaningful connections or sustain relationships. Maher insists this shift isn't accidental. Screens and avatars have replaced the effort, discomfort, and resilience that once built confidence. The result is a generation caught between illusion and isolation, lonely, disillusioned, and ill-prepared for the realities of life. Instead of helping men grow socially and emotionally, platforms like the metaverse often encourage retreat, offering escape rather than empowerment. And that's where the real damage begins.
That's Mark's vision, that two friends can attend a concert together when in reality, the old reality, both are really sitting at home. What great fun, especially for the band playing to an empty stadium. That's right, a concert where no one has to actually be at the concert. Or as Travis Scott said, now you tell me.
Maher delivers a blunt, unmistakable message. Nothing can truly replace genuine human interaction. People can be annoying, selfish, or difficult, but that friction is precisely what makes real connection so important. It challenges you, frustrates you, and ultimately helps you grow. Maher argues that this push and pull is essential for developing emotional intelligence, empathy, and resilience. By contrast, Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse imagines a world where discomfort is eliminated, effort is optional, and instant gratification dominates. In this virtual space, intimacy is simulated, faces are replaced by avatars, and validation is automatic. Maher warns that this isn't progress but a mechanized escape from reality. By offering false fulfillment without consequences, the metaverse risks eroding the very skills that make meaningful human connection possible. And once those abilities weaken, rebuilding them in the real world becomes far more difficult.
But I must say, I'm a little worried that if we get ourselves too far away from reality, we won't be able to find our way back. Phoning used to be a bad thing, and keeping it real was good. That's why I named the show Real Time and not Avatar Time. We just went through a pandemic. The last thing I want is more virtual. And that's what the metaverse sounds like it's going to be, the pandemic year, except forever. You have to ask yourself, why does Mark Zuckerberg think living in a metaverse would be so much better? Because look at him. The dead eyes. The lack of recognizable human features, the painted on hair. He's already an avatar.
That observation is both intriguing and unsettling. Maher suggests that the future Mark Zuckerberg is building for the rest of US may reflect his own view of human connection. Zuckerberg has never presented himself as someone who thrives in real-world social settings, which raises a critical question: is the metaverse driven by innovation or by projection? Maher frames this as speculation rather than fact, but the logic is compelling. For those who struggle with real-life social interaction, a controlled digital world becomes deeply appealing. Encounters can be curated, uncomfortable moments edited out, and rejection minimized. Maher doesn't say this outright, but the implication is clear. Zuckerberg's personal vision of connection may be embedded in the metaverse itself, a space where emotions are adjustable settings and human complexity is replaced by algorithms. And when a small group of tech elites reshape reality according to their own limitations, Maher warns, the consequences don't stay personal, they ripple outward and reshape society as a whole.
We're pretty sure that the person we think is Zuckerberg is a sim. Well, the real one lives on a yacht staffed by 100 beautiful women where he plays Pokemon Go all day. This is the worst kind of person to make the overlord of a new universe. Even before the pandemic, nearly 3 in 10 American males between 18 and 30 weren't having almost tripled what that number was 10 years earlier. The closest they come to talking to a girl is Alexa.
Maher seems to be pointing towards something worth considering, even if I don't entirely agree with him. Remarkably little is known about Mark Zuckerberg on a personal level. Despite creating the world's most dominant social media empire, his private life remains largely opaque. We know he married, but beyond that, details about his everyday life are scarce. He rarely gives interviews, and when he does, they're tightly controlled and focused almost exclusively on his vision, technology, and work. There's little sense of the human being behind the public figure, and that absence naturally invites both curiosity and suspicion. Maher suggests that Zuckerberg's public persona isn't necessarily a mask for something sinister. He may genuinely be this way. If that's true, Maher's critique gains weight. Emotional distance, control, and detachment could be shaping the virtual reality Meta is now building. Ultimately, though, the truth about the person behind the empire remains elusive.
Spending so much time on screens has a lot to do with that. This is the phenomenon known as incels. Incels. Yeah, that's short for involuntarily celibate. And it's not harmless. It never is, when any society, for whatever reason, creates men who are cut off from women. And it's not going well here with the incels. It has become a toxic subculture of angry, misogynistic, digital eunuchs. And the metaverse is only going to make it meta worse, because it's a vicious cycle. The more time you spend in the virtual world, the more you spend at engaging in the real world.
In reality, many people are choosing screens over face-to-face interaction because, quite simply, it feels easier. Digital spaces offer instant stimulation and validation while avoiding rejection, awkward silences, and emotional risk. But that convenience comes at a cost. Over time, social skills erode, loneliness increases, and isolation deepens. This problem has only intensified with the rise of AI, which can replace real effort and personal growth with algorithmic approval, artificial companionship, and endless digital escape. One troubling outcome is a growing group of disconnected young men who feel abandoned, frustrated, and disillusioned and, in some cases, vulnerable to exploitation for political, ideological, or financial gain. Maher warning resonates here. Technology can amplify frustration rather than resolve it. And the consequences don't stay online. When genuine human connection is displaced, the effects ripple outward, reshaping everyday life and society as a whole.
Or you retreat into the virtual, which further atrophies your real social skills, including and most importantly, getting laid.
Maher speaks directly to young men who feel isolated, urging them to reconnect with reality as the first step toward real change. A meaningful life, he argues, can't be built through algorithms, avatars, or online echo chambers. Even when it's uncomfortable, growth begins with showing up, making friends, pursuing relationships, and forming genuine connections. Real development doesn't happen behind a screen. It comes from effort, rejection, and facing challenges head-on. Spending all day in front of a computer or TV may feel safe, but it doesn't create self-worth, confidence, or purpose. In Maher's view, a hero isn't someone who dominates online arguments or escapes into virtual worlds. True heroism means stepping into reality, taking responsibility for your choices, and accepting the risk of failure. It requires courage, initiative, and the willingness to face life as it is, not as a carefully curated digital fantasy.
Rise from the couch, lose the cargo shorts, get a shirt with a collar, brush the crumbs off your beard, shave your beard, and talk to a girl. Earn being heroic by taking that long, brave walk across a room to ask someone out. The vast majority of men don't have to fight wars anymore or hunt for food, and Lord knows there aren't any real Lokis or green goblins to fight. The one place you can step up and show courage is this: be a hero to women. Show yourself.
Exactly, no one else can improve their life for them. Real change begins with personal responsibility. It may sound blunt, but it's true. Many people struggle amid cultural uncertainty, over-reliance on technology, and broader social breakdown. While those forces matter, Maher argues that trauma alone doesn't produce transformation. Waiting for society, the government, or an online movement to fix everything is futile. Growth only happens when individuals take ownership of their own lives. That requires self-discipline, perseverance, and the courage to face challenges head-on. Purpose, meaningful relationships, and confidence aren't handed out, they're earned through effort, resilience, and learning from failure. Maher isn't advocating hostility or aggression, he's advocating realism. The path forward is action, not retaliation or escape. Until someone decides to put down the screen, stand up, and work on themselves, nothing changes. Discipline, he argues, comes before accountability at the first step toward regaining control of one life. Ultimately, Maher's critique of Zuckerberg isn't really about technology at all, it's about people. AI, social media, and the metaverse may offer comfort, illusion, and distraction, but they can never replace genuine human connection. As society suffers when passive consumption and virtual living replace real effort and engagement. Technology should enhance life, not substitute for it. For young men especially, the solution lies in returning to the real world, connecting with others, building resilience, and facing challenges instead of retreating behind screens. Growth is difficult, uncomfortable, and imperfect, but it's real. Effort builds relationships. Responsibility creates meaning. No headset, avatar, or algorithm can replace that. The path forward begins when people choose reality over a fabricated digital substitute. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed the discussion, don't forget to like and subscribe.